I had been going to mass. I'm a Catholic, and I went to mass, and a few times the priest told me he has an orphanage, and we were getting these gifts of toys, helicopters to put together, tanks, jeeps, planes, all these different things. And I'm going, who wants these things? So I said to the priest, do you think your kids would want these? And he said, yeah. I said, I also have some books. I don't know if they can read the books we're getting, but, I'll give them to you. And I said, I got a good idea, though. I said, how about we try to have a Christmas? It was getting close to Christmas, right? I said, maybe I can get the captain to have a Christmas party. And I'm sure he will. If I say something that it's, he'll follow me. He likes me. So I go to the captain. He goes, oh, yeah, this is a good idea. So I said, okay, uh, we'll organize a party for December 25th. I told the priest that I'm going to have guys pick them up in, in trucks there was about 35 or 40 orphanage kids, boys and girls, two nuns and a priest. And we went, and I didn't go, but I sent truck drivers out there and some guards to, get these kids into the Camp Husky. And we got them there, and it was Christmas Day, and everybody in my headquarters company, the clerks, okay, the lieutenant, the major, the first sergeant, they were all helping to get these kids. We decorated the mess hall, and we had little tables for them and chairs, and we set everything up. Everybody was, putting cups out, making the meal. The mess sergeant said, I'm going to have a great meal. I'm even going to make cake. That was a big deal to have cake in Vietnam. Okay. Even bread sometimes. But he made a great meal for these kids. And the mess hall guys each came out and handed the kids their meal. And we all watched them. Guys were pouring milk. Guys were helping kids. There was, for, as many kids, there was not as many soldiers, but there was probably, I would say, a good 15 of us, 16, 17. And we were helping the kids. Ray's taking pictures. I'm taking pictures. That is a happy day for me because I know I made other people happy.
I remember riding home saying Merry Christmas to my family, but uh, we were in the jungle. We didn't celebrate anything or do anything special.
On Christmas Day, were you aware that it was Christmas Day?
I don't think so.
It's pretty much another day.
Yeah.
No,
Was there a truce in place?
No.
Was there a Christmas truce?
No.
No.
No Christmas trees. No, I don't remember any decorations. The only thing I remember, I got to sit down and write a letter back home, on Christmas. But my Christmas in Vietnam, I had just been on R&R to Hong Kong, and I was trying to get back to my unit, and I spent Christmas on a cot in the airport.
In Da Nang or Hong Kong?
Da Nang.
In Da Nang, yeah.
And they didn't have any place for me, and they said, well, we have a cot out here you can use. So I slept out there with the airplane.
So that was your Christmas?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know what? When I woke up, somebody stole my money.
Oh my God.
Because I guess I was dead asleep at that point,
So that's Christmas 1967?
Yeah.
They were inspecting the place, and all these dignitaries came through, and these command level generals and people in suits. I don't know if they were congressmen or senators, whatever. Someone that must have complained about this place, so they were showing them what it was all about, and they were coming through on this tour, and a group of us got together and figured we'd sing them a Christmas song. So he sang our little Christmas song to him, like, Jingle bells, mortar shells, VC in the grass. Take your Merry Christmas and shove it up your ass. So all of us in unison, they all stopped. I remember and thought, oh, they're singing us a Christmas carol. And that was our Christmas carol to them. We didn't care. What are they going to do? The old saying, we're going to send us in Vietnam, put us in jail. We're already there.
The first year I was there, I just had gotten in country in November of 1969. And for Christmas, I was corresponding with the gals back home, and I sent them I got a Christmas tree from them that was about 6 inches tall in my distribution there. And I put it on top of one of our hooches there in Vietnam. All national holidays are holidays where the upper chain of command decides it would be a very good thing to treat their troops to this, that, or the other thing. And that particular day, we had to hump 4 hours to get where they were delivering our meal and then hump back 4 hours. So Christmas Day was 8 hours of sweat and working out to get there to eat something that we really could have done without. Same thing happened at Thanksgiving when they felt you needed turkey. It's a great concept, and I really believe in taking care of the troops. But you ought to ask them if they would like it or not first, not force feed them. And regrettably, we were force fed most of the time over there.
So it sounds like you probably burned 3 times the amount of calories as you got in the Christmas meal.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the sea rations gave you enough calories to keep you going just by themselves, even if you only had a meal a day.
So a 4-hour walk to and from the Christmas meal. Was the Christmas meal even special?
No, not at all. I mean, we carried our equipment, everything, everywhere we went, we had our rucksack, weapon, and our worldly possessions. So it was a smoker.
At this Christmas meal, did they, were there any special events or a special service or anything to go along with it?
No, it was just we consolidated at one location. They brought in Mermite containers. Are you familiar with the Mermites? They're sort of like an insulated cooler that hold 3 different sections.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, nothing special. No dancing girls or no cold beer. Either one we would have enjoyed much more.
2 weeks before Christmas. We we find out through word of mouth that the Bob Hope Christmas show is coming to town. And in the Bob Hope Christmas show is coming to the Da Nang PX. But we're not supposed to tell anyone, which made it all kind of, bizarre. So we're all deciding whether we want to go to the show. It's a day off for everyone. Sounds like a good deal, but we're all tired. We've only been back a week or two. And we know that we just came out of Elephant Valley. And that's exactly where they would use to mortar the Bob Hope Christmas show. And it was obvious that they could be there again. We didn't catch Doodly going through Elephant Valley, and chances are they were all back if they wanted to. But at the last minute, I decided to go and knew that getting there was going to be easy. Every military transport anywhere in Vietnam was heading to the Bob Hope Christmas show. So you got picked up, easily. And the vehicle, I was on a deuce and a half, sitting in the back, one of the last guys to climb aboard. And traffic just got backed up. We hadn't moved 2 inches in 10 minutes, and we were still like a mile and a half away. And I jumped out the back, and I decided I could walk faster than they could drive. And I got to the show, and it was packed. There must have been 100,000 people there. And the only place that I could sit was way up at the top of the amphitheater. So I was climbing up and trying to get a place to sit down. And that was the first part that really struck me as odd at the time. Is I was about halfway up the hill, and a Marine or a soldier would grab my sleeve and kind of try and pull me a little closer to the front, offer me his spot. And I had no idea why. And, okay, I'm getting a spot closer to the stage. And before I could sit down, somebody else just grabbed my arm and pulled me a little closer to their spot. And I was oblivion. I did not know why. Okay, so we sat there and we watched the show. And it was the officers had their own chairs, little wooden chairs, all corralled in at the front. And the Red Cross Hospital had the war wounded kind of in a corral to the side. And everybody else was just up the amphitheater. And the show was good, okay? And we didn't get attacked. But as I stood up to leave when it was over, it was people were pointing to me, people were patting me on my back, and I really didn't. It took a while to understand what was going on. But it was probably the proudest moment in my life, in my entire life, because what was happening was these guys were offering their seats and acknowledging me as a grunt because I looked around. I was the only one, or very 80% of the people. I was in the 20% that carried a loaded weapon. And my utilities were too big and strung down. I was wearing a safari hat, a jungle hat instead of a utility cover. And my brass was not shined. And I sat there for a minute realizing that it wasn't for me. I never really felt I was a true grunt. I was in a grunt unit, but I was in H&S Company. The grunts were in Fox Company, G Company, Hotel Company. The best feeling was the applause, the pats on the back. They weren't for me because the real grunts weren't here. The real grunts were sitting in holes so everyone else could be here.